Welcome to Tactical Reviews for a look at the new Extrema Ratio Satre in all three versions. The black, the stone washed, these two are in the same steel but one with a black coating, and the S600 black, which is an HSS tool steel at a higher hardness to the other two versions. So what I do is, all the packaging is the same for all of them, so we'll just first of all have a look at what you get. I have been checking these through, so they're not in the plastic bag that would be how they're delivered if you order a brand new one, but this is the contents. So there's a small quality control card, a manual, and warranty information. And as we're looking at black on black here, let's just get that out of the way and have a look around. So I'll zoom in and have a closer look, but actually while we're at this view, so what we have is it's not a really tiny knife. There's a term I really hate, which is commonly used, the neck knife, as in one that you wear round your neck. I would prefer to just think of it as either a pendant knife or not even give it that term. But you can see here that this has a neck lanyard, so very easy to just put over your head, and then you have the knife available in a small Kydex click fit sheath. With a nice action. It's neither too much so that you're really struggling, or too little that you would be concerned of losing the knife with it hanging. The other thing that I haven't got here, Extrema Ratio with this particular knife are looking at a small clip system, which could then convert this into a knife that you just keep clipped to the edge of your pocket, and rather than hanging it from a lanyard. So you can just remove the cord and fit that clip system. So let's go in for a slightly closer look. Okay, so we're coming a bit tighter just to really look around all the details. So for the neck lanyard, you've got a little push button toggle to adjust the length. There is a good advantage with this type of toggle as well, is it would act as a safety breakaway. If you were to knot the paracord, you always have that potential danger. If you get caught up on something, it can do you a nasty. So at least with this, if you really pull on it, it's going to eventually give and save you. So that's the better option. So that lanyard is nicely laced through. So on the back it's plain, and on the front sort of perhaps a bootlace type pattern. So you can easily just take the end of the toggle off, take all that lacing out, change it, put it however you like, or add that clip system, easily just bolt it through the little sheath. So just see the details there. So although typically this might be hanging this way up, there is a drainage hole, so if you use the sheath with the knife handle up and there were bad weather, rain, whatever, wetness, at least it has somewhere to drain out. That's just on the one side. And of course this is just rivet eyelets holding the two halves of the Kydex together. So really comfortable angle for thumb pressure to pop that off. So this is the plain, I say, as in the standard steel version of the Satre in the black finish. And you can see how nicely the distinctive Extrema Ratio handle design is incorporated into what is just a single piece of steel. And as it comes fitted with just a small grip lanyard, we'd call it. It's not big enough to put around your wrist or attach it to anything, but it gives you that little bit of extended grip, makes it easier to pull out of the sheath, just generally helps with control. And of course you can just remove that or replace it however you wish. And you also have a forward lanyard hole if you want to use that. Jimping on the top edge for grip. And you can see it is a compact blade. We'll go through all the technical measurements in another part of the video. So giving you a really practical amount of cutting edge. It's a very handy, compact knife. So we started this video by just taking the standard black edition out of the box. So before we get on to the detailed technical measurements for the Satre, I'm just going to quickly show you the other two versions. So as I say, this is standard steel black coated. And we have, let's go on to the satin finish. So everything's the same apart from the finish. So this is a stone wash stainless. So no coating, just a stone wash. And the final version is something a little bit different, a little bit special, is the S600 version. So you can see here proudly this is written across the blade, so you're not going to miss that I'm not just using the standard black. So S600 is one of a group of steels that are classed as HSS. So depending on how into steel you are, I mean HSS is very commonly known about because your standard drill bits for drilling metal are typically HSS, so you will have seen that, but there are many other steels that fit into that category. And in particular, they came about because they allowed the tool steel to retain hardness at higher temperatures, and in the machine shops that meant that you could turn the workpiece faster, so high speed. So it was called a high speed steel, tool steel. S600 is just the one that Extrema Ratio have chosen for this knife. And on the other side, again, nice, not going to miss it. It's showing that its hardness is 64 HRC. The standard blades, I believe, are at 58, so it's a reasonably significant increase in hardness. And this is something that's going to be looked at in more detail with a test that checks the resistance to edge damage. So there we have all three versions. Clearly they are the same blade. So when I go through the technical measurements, I'm only going to take the size measurements for one of them. When I do get to the section that checks the edge sharpness and geometry, I will do that for all three, because I want to see how they compare, and that also may affect the edge resilience testing that I do later. So there we go. Okay, so going through the standard set of measurements. First up is weight with the sheath. Seems to not settle. We're 99 grams. Length in the sheath, obviously not counting the length of cord. So that's 174 millimeters. Just get that slightly out of the way. And the width of the sheath, 57.5. Thickness, this is all very low profile. I'm not going to include the cord because that can be taken off, but as is with the Kydex, is 10.9 millimeters. So now just the knife. .9 grams. Length of the knife, it's 162 millimeters. Blade length I'm going to take up to where the plunge line is, so we've got 66 millimeters. Handle thickness is, of course, this is a single piece of steel, so handle thickness 4.7 millimeters. Thickest part of the handle 21.8 millimeters. Just see where the balance point lies. I'm going to take the lanyard off for that. Just not really going to be possible to see how well it's balancing with the bit of cord hanging around, so there we are. And that's 89 millimeters from the tip, the balance point. Maximum blade thickness is going to be the same as the handle unless there's some taper, but I don't think there is. So 4.7 millimeters. Check the grind. Just use part of this as a straight edge. I'm pretty sure it's a flat grind. And that is a flat grind. So if I just show you on the satin version, grind length, I mean I'm going to measure it across the absolute maximum, but with the shaping of the grind and the angle here that comes from the plunge, I'd normally measure that across here, but the grind length maximum, I'm going to take it from where the taper to the point starts. So 21.8 millimeters maximum blade depth, 22.7, and now we measure the primary bevel angle. And that is giving us 13 degrees and 10 minutes. Okay, so this is one of the first checks where we're going to look at all three. So a laser edge bevel protractor. So, because we're looking at this in reverse, I'm reading the left hand side, which is actually the right hand side of the edge first. So the right hand edge bevel is 19 degrees, the left hand edge bevel is 22 degrees, and that's for the black. Look at the satin. And we have to come out of shot here. 26 degrees for the right hand and 28 degrees for the left. And the last of these being the S600 model. And we have 20 degrees for the right hand, and the left hand is 26 degrees. Point angle. Point angle is 57 degrees. 57 degrees point angle. Thickness behind the edge, in theory this should be the same across them all, but I'm going to actually measure it. Looks like we might need a battery change. Okay, new battery. Okay, thickness behind the edge for all three. So for the black we have 0.88 millimeters. For the satin we have 0.93 millimeters. And the S600 we have 0.94 millimeters. Just on the subject of rake, I'm going to consider this a completely straight knife, so 0 degrees rake. And now we're going to go through and see what factory edge sharpness we have for all three. So first of all, we have the Satre black. Center sharpness. $202 grams. Sharpness at the heel, or as close to now the actual edge is not sharpened all the way. There isn't a sharpening choil, so I'm going to give it a few millimeters, but as close as I can. $206 grams at the heel. And tip sharpness. $246 grams. So we'll do a quick reload of the testing filament. Don't know that I've explained this in any other video, but there is a spool in the base and the filament is taken across the test area, and as this is tightened there's a bearing to prevent any excess pulling on the filament which would skew the result. It's a push cut test, this one, not a slicing test. So now we're reloaded, ready to test the satin. So I push on the pivot to ensure that it doesn't start giving a reading. That's why I do that. So center sharpness of the satin, 314 grams. Heel, 228, and the tip, 359. Reload again, and then we can do the S600. Okay, reloaded, ready for the S600 sharpness test. Center, 282, heel, 423. Just concerned I've come too close. I'm not sure I have. I'll do that one again. Let's just do the third, the tip. $287. So just out of curiosity, one more for the heel. Just give it a little bit more space away from the very end of where it's sharpened. $310. So there we have all three versions of the Extrema Ratio Satre, the detailed technical specifications. Thank you for joining me, and remember, get informed, be prepared, stay sharp.